My name is Eleanor Macleod and I'm head of music, so a music teacher at a local secondary school of nearly 2,000 children, so 11 to 18-year-olds.
I'm Andrew Fitt and I develop software. That's my living.
Software, computer?
Computer software.
How different.
Yeah.
So you teach music? What kind of music do you teach?
Everything, including gamelan, hence getting it. I teach it on xylophones though, so I teach it on very Western instruments, just trying to get the point of it across rather than necessarily everything else. But so we teach things like samba, African drumming, gamelan, the 12-bar blues, reggae, a bit of everything. We try.
I'll come back to that later. First of all, how did you start playing gamelan?
I started when I was at university. A friend of mine played gamelan and I'd been thinking, oh, this looks like kind of interesting. I was doing certain musical things at the time. And so I came along and gave that a try.
Had you heard before you came along? Had you heard?
Hadn't heard any performances. Hadn't heard, in fact, any tapes. It was just something. Sounds interesting. Give that a try.
And then you carry on from there.
And carried on there with a gap. So.
I had my first experience here actually in Cambridge on that gamelan when I was at school. We were brought here for a day visit and we just learnt one piece. And then when I became a music teacher, so I sort of knew what it was and I'd seen the various gamelans playing. And then when I came to teach back in this area, I came to a concert. There was a concert here with the shadow puppets and everything about just over a year ago. And so about this time last year, it was last November, I think I came, October time, I came to a concert here and just got talking to someone in the group and asked if I could join because I teach it and I know the basics of how it works, but I didn't really know any detail. So I thought hopefully to be able to teach it better, to be able to teach it better, I should learn how to do it properly. And then I found that it was a real challenge, and it's when you do music all the time. I play in a samba band and I play in orchestras and things, but this is the first thing for years that's really challenged me, because you get to a certain standard in Western music and you can pick up anything and play it, and it's fun, but this has been a real kind of, it's going back to square one and not really knowing what you're doing, and that's been really good because it's nice to find new challenges when you do music all the time. So I've just kind of stayed with it. So I've been doing it for about a year.
How is it different from Western music?
I think there's a few main things. I think the idea of the decorating parts preceding the main beats is really different. I'm used to hearing a tune and being able to decorate it afterwards, Oh, right, it's that chord, I can play these notes, like improvising with the blues or something. Whereas when I've been learning to play things like bonang, you obviously have to be ahead of the main tune, so you have to know where you are, not just based on, what note the main players have just played, but kind of you need to go into music much more deeply. And I think going towards a strong beat, the feeling of it's a very Western idea to have beat one of the bar as the strong one. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and there's a real. I knew that gamelan music tends to go towards the, it builds up to the last beats of the gotras and things, but
knowing it and feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. Understanding that that's what happens is one thing, but actually being part of it, I now can work out where I am. When I first joined, I literally had to go by the notation. And if I got lost, I just had to wait until I could just find where the balungan was and get back in with them. Whereas now, there's something different. I can feel it a lot more now. I can feel what we're going towards. And the feeling of going, as you say, the feeling of going towards that last beat is a very different one to just knowing that they do it, kind of feeling it. So I think those are the main things. And obviously, learning your decorating parts. Once I tried bonang for the first couple of times, you're obviously just given the balungan melody and you have to kind of know what to do. So I'm still not very good at that. I'm still at the stage of writing lots of bonang patterns down. So Rob will teach me them and I'll try and remember them, and then I'll realise I can't remember them, so I'll note them down. So I'm still a bit of a beginner, but it's those things are the main differences really.
And how about you, Andrew? Could you tell us your experience playing gamelan?
Oh, well, what sort of things do you mean?
I think playing in a group, or how did you take it when you started playing gamelan? Did you enjoy it, and then this is something strange,
Yeah, certainly the sort of very, very first sessions, it was sort of sheer strangeness and a sense of not being able to get it out of my head. Sort of the tunes would run around in my head for days and days after.
Go home singing it. 2, 1, 2, 3.
Then you wake up in the middle of the night and it would still be going through your head. The other sort of great thing when you're starting off is the fact that quite a lot is technically straightforward. You can play in a group, you can hold a tune, you can contribute, and that sort of kept me going, if you like, for the first year. And then you start to realise, hang on, but there are these other instruments doing these decorating things, and there's a fancy pattern here, and there's a different treatment you can do. And so what I found was it sort of started to develop in quite a nice way. There was always something more to be learning, some extra complications, different instrument to play. Then I found I was sort of hitting a bit of a block. Either sort of I wanted to progress further, and there was a bit of problem with getting the tuition in Cambridge, and the group I think had its up and down. Sort of right when I started was a few years after they'd been given the gamelan hearing in Cambridge, and before big groups were starting up in London as well. So there was quite a lot of gamelan activity centred around Cambridge and Oxford at the time. Sort of bigger concerts and quite large groups. Maybe it was fashionable at the time as well, I'm not sure about that. And then things quietened down a little bit, sort of early 90s. The group was struggling a little bit, and it was getting hard to maintain, and however much we tried to do a bit of recruitment, things were not doing very well. Sort of that point, I drifted out of gamelan for a number of years, while it's all quietly in the background. Robert had been revitalising the group, and it was great actually to have him teaching. I think that's actually one of the big differences, was having somebody teaching who was local. Well, not just that, actually, somebody who would put a lot of effort into making a group fizz, doing interesting things, doing interesting performances. And, what got me back into it was when he put on a wang, and I heard about that, and sort of in my earlier days, one of the most fun things I did was playing in a wang, and just the sort of, I really enjoyed the large amount of work that went with that, the extra complications of the different things you have to do to get something to work with a wang, the ability to react, the sort of large amount of musical material, and just the sort of sheer joy of the theatrical puppet event. It's a real occasion when one of those is put on, and then all of a sudden, hey, this was going to be happening in Cambridge, and just really wanted to be involved. And so that's when I got started back in.
When did you join the group here, the community in Cambridge?
Be 87, something like that.
Were you here before Robert came?
Yes.
So, did you join the first group, or was the group
No, probably the second wave. The group was already going. Lindsay, one of our other players, she was essentially one of the founder people.
Oh, interesting. So you've been here for a very long time.
Been here for.
So you've been watching the development of the group.
Yes, it's sort of going through its phase. It's certainly one of its quite up, I would say, at the moment.
The group is really good now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done 5 concerts this year, and there's been quite a lot of, well, I mean, it's never a lot, as in you don't get 50 new people turn up, but there have been, I'd say 10, 12 people who just come in. Some of them haven't done more than a few, but some have stayed, and that's been quite nice.
That's been really important as well, because people have to go for various reasons, moving around the country for work, having other bigger commitments in life. Sort of sometimes jobs get too much and things like that.
Does playing gamelan affect your work, software work?
In a good way, I hope. One has to have a sense of taste and balance for, I think, both gamelan and properly developing software.